Hi, Hiram here. I was going to answer a couple of questions that I got from viewers of my Fancy Feast videos that I've been making. One was from Alex Guerra. I hope I said that right. I apologize if I didn't. But Alex asked, what would you say is the best material for the wick, and how long would carbon felt or ceramic fiber last as a wick before it needs to be replaced? Well, the first part of Alex's question is, all I can say is the best material is whatever you have at hand. That being said, if I had sand, paper, ceramic fiber, or carbon fiber all in front of me, and I wanted to make a Fancy Feast stove to last, I would use the carbon fiber. Mostly because it's pretty well indestructible, plus this thickness. The ceramic, I think, is a close second, but in this case I have a thin piece, whereas the carbon fiber that I have fits nicely as one layer of carbon fiber between the cat food can and the tomato paste can. That space there is just about right for this. But if you have access to paper towels, like you saw in that video, I made one out of a paper towel. If you have a paper towel but you don't have this stuff, then use paper towels, or vice versa, sand. Use sand. But for a long-term permanent stove, I guess, you know, one of these two. Now sometimes this stuff is kind of hard to come by. It's a little expensive if you're only going to make one. I've done some videos showing you where you can find carbon felt, and this you just saw, I got it on eBay. As for the second part of Alex's question, how long does the wick last? Well, this is my original Fancy Feast stove, and I got to be careful how I say that, but then that's another story. This one I made, I think, in the winter of 2012, but I'll leave a link to where I did the first boil test on it. I kind of put it aside because I got really hung up on Trangia stoves and stuff. But this is one that I made to melt snow down for water. And this has been used and tested hundreds of times, probably more so than what any normal person would do with this. Now the only thing that has happened with this is, hopefully you can see this here. Originally, this gap was only this wide. I put this other piece in afterwards. This is how much the carbon felt has shrunk in my use. This one piece used to come all the way to leave a little gap like that. Now the reason why I put a gap there originally was, when I used this for melting snow, I had a feed tube like this that I was going to hang there so that I could feed alcohol into this to keep it running. But then later on I saw that this burned pretty long on its own, so I had filled the gap up with this little piece of carbon felt, but you can see how much it's shrunk in the meantime. And that's why I'm looking at the ceramic fiber, hoping that maybe that won't shrink as much. Now this is still no big deal. I mean, I could take this piece off. Originally this piece, I don't know, black on black might not show up too good, but this gives you an indication. That's about how much. Take off maybe this little piece at the end. Let's do it this way. Like that. That's how much the carbon felt shrunk in those years that I've been using this. But again, no big deal. I could just replace it if I wanted, but I keep this one as my original. And I just put this piece on here like this. Even the cat food can hasn't been burned out much. And there it is. So it looks like, you know, it lasts for years. It'll definitely last the summer. So I hope that helps with that answer, that question. Another question I got, and I know I'm going to really mess up this name, Sinfonian Barelytone. Barelytone? Yeah. He asked a question about, on the video that I did, finding sand for a Fancy Feast Stove Wick. Sinfonia asked, wouldn't it dump out when you tilt it? That's this stove. Or even the other sand one, which I've taken apart. But this is one where I just did in the last video. Grit from the end of my driveway that I just put in there to use as a wick. Now this, the sand and this grit stuff, is pretty much only, in my mind, only for if you're going to be in a cabin situation or an emergency situation where you needed a stove, you had a source of alcohol, but no other wicks. You can almost find sand everywhere, and then you can just build a stove. So, but you can put it in here, and if you tilt it, nothing, I mean, one or two little grand pieces fall out, but not the whole thing. After burning it, it kind of locks in the sand. But this wouldn't work if you stuck it in your pack. I'm willing to bet this wouldn't travel well. But as far as just tipping it over, it doesn't just fall right out. Put it in your pack, you'll have crumbs all over everything. Okay, so I hope that helps that. Now I'll leave a link down below to the first video, boiling test video that I did on this. And you can see, you know, how I put it together and stuff. So I thank Alex and Sinfonia, for their comments and questions. I thank you for watching. I look forward to your input, questions, remarks, helpful suggestions. And as always, watch for my buddy Max. Bye now.